Hello everyone, my name is Sierra, this is Sierra the Book Act, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a 3-month wrap-up of what I've been reading from January until now. Well, in January into March. Excuse me. And yeah, we'll go through that. I think I'm going to be doing wrap-ups for every couple months just because I haven't been reading a lot due to having a full-time job, and I feel like these classes are seriously not right right now. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to be discussing what I read through January into what I'm going to be reading in March. So let's just get started because, I don't want to be here forever. And yeah, so I read 6 books, so 3 and 3 for January and February. And it's been an interesting mix because I'm not fully doing solid fantasy. I'm trying to get through a lot of more different genres of, just trying to explore a little more onto my TBR. So if you guys see me looking down, I'm just looking at my phones just to make sure I have everything correctly. Anyway, let's go. So the first book I read for January of 2023 was Dewey, the Small Town Library Cat by Bret, Witter, and Vicki, Myron. And so this was a book that someone actually gave me, which I no longer have. I've donated it to other places because it was fine. It was really cute. It was a memoir about this cat that lived in the library. He grew up in it. It's a true story. It took place in the 1990s in Illinois. And it was really just cute. I had a good time with it, but also was a little bit bored because it discussed a lot about the state of Illinois and in the 90s, and that part just didn't really catch my attention as much. But it was fine. I gave it a 3.5. It was good. Then I read A Man Named Ouel or Ove, or if you've seen the movie, A Man Called Otto. So I wanted to read this before I went to go see A Man Called Otto because I had read it before. It's been a few years. And I was like, I want to go see the movie, but I want to read the book first. So I did. And I am too lazy. I did not bother to go and get the book. It's off my shelf, but I do own it. And yeah, I read it and it was just fantastic. It was just as good as I remember. I gave this 4 solid stars. It was great. I mean, it was very emotional and very moving, but it just didn't have my 5-star tier or anything that it should have. But it's fine. I really still loved it. It's still on my favorite shelves just because it's so wholesome. And I love the movie, by the way. I really did. Like, there was a few changes, and the little changes that they made was fine. It was perfect. I cried, like, full on sobbed. And actually, I don't think anyone in that entire theater did not cry, so it was well done. Tom Hanks was definitely a very good choice for Ove, and I love that. I loved that. So then, what did I do? I read another emotionally scarring book, which was Crying H. Mart by Michelle Zauner. If you have not read this memoir of this young woman's life and her emotional connection to her mother and the food, oh my god, I did not cry, but I felt the pain so much. I was just slightly emotionally scarred. And I definitely had to call my mother after I read this because I was just like, what? Yeah, no, it was brutal, but it was also so beautifully constructed, and the wording just so gorgeous. I loved her description of food, mostly because I do watch a lot of food videos along with book videos. So yeah, it was interesting. I guess this is 4 stars as well. The definitely didn't hit home for me as in the full 5, but it was definitely like, oh, yeah, that hurts. That definitely hurts. So, yeah. That was a library book. I found myself, I actually went to the library and picked that up. So I'm very pleased with myself on that. Then, a lot of you probably got in my last video, if you watched that. I'm doing a challenge where I had a bunch of my YouTube friends pick a book or a series for me to read throughout the year. And so January, I didn't get this idea until January, so I just started it this month in February. And I had Paige from Paige's Page. She picked up my February book, which was A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, or also the Wayfarers series. And oh my god, I loved A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet so much. It was so incredibly wholesome and cute and very queer, and it was just wonderful. I adored it so much. It gave me fuzzy happiness, especially after reading Dragon Age Mart. I definitely needed it, and I loved it. It was 5 stars. 5 stars. And that was by Becky Chambers. If you have not read, so there's 4 books. They're standalones, but they're in a series, kind of. So there's the Wayfarers series. Go read the first book. Just, my heart. I am very happy to have read this, honestly. And I'm so glad Paige told me to read this, because honestly I'm like, yes. Also, I love space. I don't read a lot of space books, but I'm starting to get into some more space-themed books here, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then I completed a series. Oh my god. So I finally finished the Sherlock Holmes Quartet. And so the last one is A Question of Holmes by Brittany Cavallaro. And I actually bought this secondhand because I wanted to finally finish it. I'm going to be donating it to my library because my library actually has the first 3, but they don't have the 4th book. And so I'm going to donate that so that someone else can binge read all 4 books and just be so happy about it. It's a middle grade, not even a middle grade, it's a young adult. It's young adult of Sherlock Holmes and Watson's great-grandchildren. And if you haven't read the series, just go pick it up. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. You know, I could see why a lot of people would be mad about the ending, but I really thought it was nicely done, especially after everything they endured in the first 3 books. I definitely feel like the 4th book was very, very good, and I feel like the ending was very satisfying to know that, you know, how it ended, and it was good. I gave this, what did I give you? 4 stars. I also gave this 4 stars because it was very solid. It was very good. And then the last book, which I just finished, when you're seeing this, I'm still in the middle of reading Final Keepers, but I finished this yesterday. So this is almost the 3rd way through the month. Still have a little bit of time left. We'll see. We'll try and finish that. Anyway, I read The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell, which is a mystery thriller. And it was definitely interesting. I don't read a lot of mystery thrillers that often, so usually I'm very impressed. This one definitely, I predicted a few of the characters, but that didn't necessarily take away the shock value of some of the plot twists in the book, for sure. Because obviously, even though I guessed a couple of the characters, I couldn't tell you what exactly had happened, or even could have predicted what it was. So It was very, very interesting. It's also very rare because it is a thriller mystery duology. There's a second book, which is not a very common thing in thrillers. So I'm very keen to pick up book 2 and kind of see where else this could possibly go, because we've already gotten past the big mystery of what it is. So I'm very curious. I also realize I have not told you the plot for any of these books besides Dewey. No. Okay, so I'll do a quick synopsis. So, if you have not ever read a man called Auel, it's about a grumpy old man who basically he just wants to be with his wife, so he's planning to commit suicide, but every attempt he makes gets stopped by his new neighbors. Not intentionally, they don't know what he's trying to do. They're just, she's just being a good neighbor. And it's very wholesome, it's very sad at the same time, because you get a timeline of, before his life with his wife, and then it present day where after he's gone. So, very, very wholesome. And then Crying in Each Mart is about a young woman who is dealing with the loss of her mother. Her mother is Japanese, and how she's come to America and just kind of going in between being American and Japanese, but also holding on to her roots of being Japanese, but also feeling some emotion towards the very grave illness of her mother and the tension of the two of them during her high school years. Then, A Long Way to a Small Inner Planet is about a young woman who has a kind of traumatic past due to some political things in her childhood, and being put onto this spaceship that creates black holes, and this mixed mash of wonderful, amazing characters that are part of this crew, and how they each deal with their own feelings towards each other and with these other life beings. It was great. It was fantastic. Then Charlotte Holmes, the question Charlotte is the ending of the series. Like I said before, I'm not going to spoil too much because obviously if you haven't read the series, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of like one last mystery for Watson and Charlotte, and kind of discuss their feelings finally towards each other. But then, and then the ending of kind of what they end up doing after this last summer. So yeah, that was good. And then Family Upstairs is about a young woman who she was found as a baby inside of a abandoned house with these 3 adults dead, and she's turned 25, where the inheritance of this house has been given to her, and she must find out what exactly happened to her family, why everyone left, why everyone died. Yeah, it was alright. It was interesting, and I'm very excited to read the next installment of that. So this was everything in January and February. Let's talk about March. And just reposition here, sorry. So, as I mentioned, Paige picked out my January pick for what I should read off my TBR. So, March, Miss Amy from AA Star Reads. She picked out The Shadow of the Wind for me to read. And I'm super excited. I actually just got the book on my Kindle because it's a chunky boy. And I'm so excited. I read the synopsis again. I'm like, ooh, that sounds so good. And I love stories about books within books, so I think this is going to be great. Great fun, and I'm very excited to get to it. It is also a quartet, which is also Long Way to a Small Group Play. It's also a quartet. So I have a lot of books to read. But yeah, I'm very excited to read that. And speaking of the Wayfarers series, I'm going to also try to get to A Close in Common Orbit, which is the second book. The second standalone in this world. And so I'm very excited to get to that. Ooh, I'm so excited actually. And then, of course, we have my Earth's Children along, which would be the second book, which is The Valley of the Horses, which I'm reading with Paige and Paige's Page. And if any of you guys want to join us in this fantastically chunky world, please let me know. We'll be doing it on Twitter, because that'll be just easier that way in a group on Twitter, because I'm not sure how to use Discord quite yet. I'm very confused by it still. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. I will keep you updated unless Paige decides she wants to do it on, like, her Discord or something. Anyway, I'll let you know. But then, here's a few other, and then, so then, also, like I mentioned, The Family Upstairs, I would like to get to the sequel, which is The Family Remains, and I'm very interested to get to that as well. But then there's three more books that I would like to try and fit on, but I don't think I will, but we'll try. Next one is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I actually just purchased this. Should be coming in the mail quite soon, and I'm very excited because I can finally say I've read Song of Achilles and then get to Cersei, and hopefully get to some other really interesting musical retellings. So yeah, that's very exciting. But then I would also like to read Remarkably Bright Creatures, which I also own, and which I didn't bother to go get off the shelves because I'm too lazy today to do that. But I've heard such good things about this book, and I'm really excited. And I actually don't know much about. I know it has to do with like a woman and an octopus. I know a Song of Achilles has to do with like a love story between Achilles and Patroclus. Don't quote me on names. It's been a long time since I've read any sort of Greek, Roman, and mythology type things, so it's been a while, so don't quote me on that. And then lastly is Outlawed, which was a female western type book that came out and we had a bit of a show off of on BookTube for a while, and that has been on my excuse me, TV for quite a long while now since it came out, and I'd like to get to it because winter I feel like is a great time for westerns for some reason. And yeah, that is everything I've read and I'm planning to read. If you would like to join me at all for any of these books, please let me know, and I would happily set up a buddy read with you. Unless you want to join the Children's Earth Along, then please, like I said, go into my Twitter, and I will set you up. So, bye! I will see y'all later, and bye!